Shadowkeep and Season of the Undying have been out for about 2 weeks now as of the making of this video, and I just want to go over kind of my first impressions and my thoughts on certain topics, so yeah, buckle in. First, I want to go over the Shadowkeep campaign and kind of the story and other things that are involved in that, so if you haven't played it, spoilers starting now. Alright, obviously Eris is back. After the Taken King event, she goes to the moon. She finds something there. There's these things called nightmares. We encounter a nightmare of Crota while looking at one of the darkness ships that we've been having premonitions about. Basically, most of, last year when Forsaken came out, like, we've been building up to a point of, using stuff outside the light, like Black Armory, like, they fear the Traveler, might not be completely great, so we're going to create weapons outside of that. Obviously the Drifter, like the Motes of Dark, like Motes of Light are circular, Motes of Dark are in the tetrahedron shape, obviously for the pyramids. And then obviously Callus, like Callus is telling us, hey, like, come be my shadow, like everything's going to end anyway because there's something bigger than light and dark coming for us all, and we're all going to die. So obviously it's all been kind of leading up to this. Basically we help Eris, we fight nightmares, which is pretty cool. It's, we get to see resurrected versions of, enemies that we have faced. The pyramid decides to do that, and we essentially get to a point where we can get past the barrier by forging some gear with a thing called the Lectern of Enchantment, which is pretty cool. It's actually kind of like magic-y. Like, that's the cool thing about Destiny. Like, yes, weapons are cool, yes, abilities are fun, but they are based on, some sort of magical, I guess, concept. And so once we forge that gear, we can actually get onto the ship, and the ship's like, hey, like, I actually want you to come on here because we have stuff to tell you, obviously. We end up facing Dominus, like a nightmare version of Dominus Gaul, the Fanatic, and Crota, and like we end up seeing, like, I don't know, this like darkness like figure statue thing, and it gives us an artifact, and then bam, like I guess the campaign's over. Like, we obviously see a premonition of the Black Garden. I'll get into that in a little bit, but just going over the lectern, like, I do like it. It's kind of like the Black Armory forges or like the Menagerie, where you can like pick what weapons that you want and try to get that, I guess, quote unquote god roll. It's kind of stinks because I guess with Menagerie you can pick what you want the masterwork to be versus using the lectern, but still, like, I do like being able to, like, forge other gear, which is, I guess one of the cool things about it. Second thing, nightmare hunts. Obviously, those are on weekly rotation. Every week, they're going to be coming out with harder and harder versions. Obviously, first up, we had the Adept and Hero. Then there's going to be, like, I'm pretty sure it's called, like, Legend, which just came out this week. And then we have Master, which is pretty cool. So, nightmare hunts, like, I mean, I like them. It's pretty cool. Lower tier, it's kind of boring. It's basically just like a mini strike. But once we get to the higher tier, like, I guess a little bit more end game, like, especially even with like Hero, I mean, obviously they can involve the Unstoppable Barrier and what is it called, like the Disorient Champions or whatever they're called, Disruption Champions or something like that. And I mean, that's kind of cool. You kind of have to, like, build around certain things, maybe not use like extremely meta things, which is what I like about it. So nightmare hunts, definitely enjoy. There's this whole thing right now where, the Hidden Swarm are trying to maybe bring back a nightmare version of Oryx, or bring back Oryx. If you didn't know that, my name is Vipe, dropped a video about it. Like, if you got the collector's edition of Destiny, like, you can unlock the Lectern, actually, and like a bunch of people got together, and there were some just hidden story things on Bungie.net, which is pretty cool. Next thing to go over in general, the moon destination. I am happy that we're back on the moon. The week before Shadowkeep came out, I actually went back onto the moon just to experience it in Destiny 1, and I was like, man, this place was pretty cool. Obviously, we have all the old places, everything with the Hellmouth, Anchor of Light, all that stuff. There's 4 lost sectors, like lost sectors, totally fine. There's like a whole storyline with that where we get to hear about, the Thanatonauts that actually came on, and there's some lore stuff in there as well that I guess you can read up on if you get the lore tabs and whatnot. I guess the new place is Sorrow's Harbor and the Scarlet Keep. I mean, that's totally fine. The really only time you get to go to the Scarlet Keep is when you're in the strike. You can't really explore it too much, which is kind of sad. But, other than that, I do like the moon destination. I'm happy we got to go back to that original spot. Now, coming back to I guess, the darkness premonition at the end of the Shadowkeep campaign. Obviously, it was kind of abrupt. Right when we pick up the artifact, we see a version of ourselves, and there's darkness shifts behind us. It's basically telling us that, hey, like, we're going to be coming regardless, and, you know, we're not your friend, we're not your enemy, we're your salvation. And it's basically saying, like, nothing good comes from the light. Like, everybody has died in the light, and the Traveler just stood there and did nothing. We're willing to, you know, lay out bare our ego, and, like, we want you to use us. Like, it's pretty crazy. And obviously, you know, leading into that, you know, the Garden of Salvation raid, like, the artifact hums and it's like, hey, come to the Black Garden and face the oh, what is it, I'm pretty sure it's the Soul Divisive or Soul Divisive or whatever. They decided to, you know, actually stay there and worship the darkness, kind of like the Black Garden Heart in Destiny 1. Kind of the same concept there. You know, I was actually listening to My Name is Bife, and he even said, like, sometimes, like, the Vex, the Soul Divisive will actually fight other Vex ones because, you know, their quote-unquote religions don't, like, line up, which is kind of weird and kind of cool at the same time. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see Vex fight Vex, just, you know, at an entertainment standpoint, I suppose. But obviously, if you go in the Black Garden, you know, defeats the two main bosses that are there. They've kind of, like, ascended normal Vex quantities, and, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, just, I don't know if you've seen any clips. I would highly recommend go checking it out. I don't have any footage. I haven't went through the raid yet. I definitely plan on doing it. The weapons in there are cool as well. And, you know, there's a darkness statue in there at the end of it, by the way. So, which kind of leads into the Divinity quest, which basically happens right after the Garden of Salvation. It's a new trace rifle. Basically makes a giant crit spot and can do some AoE damage, I suppose, the longer you hold it on there. The quest is, at the beginning, it's actually very easy. You just do a few things. It doesn't really tell you what to do, so you kind of have to improvise just a little bit. But, you know, basically you have to, the last step is you go through the raid and you know, get tethered, and you have to solve like 7 puzzles, and boom, you get Divinity, which is cool. It's kind of like the Outbreak Prime thing. Obviously, Outbreak Prime took way longer than expected and took way longer than Divinity in general, but still, like, that's kind of cool that we get to, you know, go back into the raid. It's one of those things where it's, like, lightly nostalgic. Plus, you're in the Black Garden. Like, it's a beautiful place anyway. One last thing about story stuff. So, if you haven't played the new strike on IO, it's called the Festering Core. Essentially, there is this core at the Endless Gate. You just keep going through, and you make your way to the middle of this giant Vex circle in the middle of IO. And it turns out that the Takener there, Eris pops in and says, hey, Savathûn is, like starting up. Like, these look like the same blights that are in the Dreaming City. So it's kind of cool that we get that context that, hey, the Dreaming City is not over. Like, we're not done with that place yet. Savathûn and her cunning is here. Like, we have seen it. Like, she has made a move. And Zaval's like, well, if she comes in, we'll just, like, fight her like we did Oryx. And Eris is like, well, we can't do that because, you know, she is essentially the cunning version of Oryx. Oryx was like, oh, hey, I'm like the big dude. Like, you can't take on me. I'm powerful. Savathûn is cunning. Like, that is her skill. And so she is going to use that against us. And I'm really hoping something happens with the Dreaming City soon, because I definitely like to go back and see what the heck Mara's been up to. Alright, moving on to Season of the Undying. Obviously, we have the Vex Offensive, which is a new activity on the moon. We get to go into the Black Garden again and just, you know, I guess slow down the Vex, which is pretty cool. The event is, I guess it's kind of cool. It is very repetitive, which is kind of annoying to me. I wish there was like a different boss like every week. Like, obviously we've been facing the same Minotaur for a while now. It'd be kind of cool if there was like a Hydra, and maybe even like, you know, some sort of powerful Harpy that we have to like somehow, you know, take down. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if that will happen, but from what I've seen the past 2 weeks is that, you know, we've just been facing this Minotaur, which is kind of boring. The weapons are reskin of Curse of Osiris weapons. Kind of unfortunate. Obviously, they look a little different. They have leaves on them, I suppose. You know, not very, I guess not very creative on that type of standpoint, but I will admit, everybody was thinking that these were the raid weapons, and the raid weapons are way cooler than the Season of the Undying weapons. So, I will admit that, you know, the raid weapons, amazing. I'm happy those weapons are not reskins of Curse of Osiris weapons. But in general, you can get some good rolls on these weapons. Like, I've been using the Optative Precision Frame Hand Cannon in the Crucible, Rapid Hit Kill Clip. Not a complete god roll, does have a Range Master work, and I mean, it's pretty good, but weapons in general, kind of wish they weren't reskins. It is what it is. kind of wrapping up the campaign and Season of the Undying with endgame stuff. Obviously, there's raids and whatnot, but I do want to talk about Nightfalls, because obviously we have the Ordeal Nightfall, and you can, you know, bump those levels up from Adept, Hero, Legend, and Master. And there's like a 980 version, and I kind of like it to where there's that Nightfall to where we don't, it's kind of like Destiny 1, where it automatically gives us the modifiers that are on there, and we just kind of have to deal with it. I definitely like that, and especially with the new champions and whatnot, the champions are very entertaining. They are horrible to deal with, just in general, but I mean, it's kind of cool that, like, you do have to potentially use something non-conventional to get the strike done, which is what I like, especially this past week. Like, people... It even says Unstoppable Champions, and no one rocked any Unstoppable mods at all. That frustrated the heck out of me. I'm like, after I realized that, I'm like, I have to rock it on my hand cannon, like, this whole time, because nobody else will. And so, I mean, I definitely like that the Nightfall changes, and it's going to be something that can be the Ordeal Nightfall. We obviously have the old Nightfalls, which is fine. You can get some gear, but that's alright. Going over Nightmare Hunts, obviously we're going to get the Master ones on October 22nd, which is going to be the highest tier. That's when we can start doing the time trials, which is going to be very, very fun. There's an emblem that goes with that. And, I mean, that's going to be pretty cool. Like, Nightmare Hunts, fantastic. I definitely like it. Wish they were more challenging, which is when the Master ones are going to come out. So I'm very excited for that. And then just kind of, you know, what is it? The dungeon. The dungeon that's going to come out October 29th. You know, that's going to be something that's endgame. I have no idea what the heck it's going to be. It does have a lot of red around it, so I'm assuming we're going to go deep into the Scarlet Keep instead of, you know, going up the keep. So, I'm excited for that as well. And then I guess the Undying Mind. If you go to Ikora, she's like building something that's around, you know, that area. And so it's something about the Undying Mind going through different time zones. Not time zones, but just like... It's basically trying to avoid us, and we're going to have to kill it multiple times. And that's going to be very, very cool when we get to that, in my opinion. So endgame is looking very, very cool. Just going over stuff in general, going over the seasonal artifact, very, very awesome. I definitely like that, you know, I guess, like, it is catered this time around to Arc and Void abilities, and I'm very happy because everybody wants to use, you know, like Hammer Titan, everybody wants to use that. Everybody wants to use Blade Barrage. Everybody wants to use the Well of Radiance. And so, you know, I'm glad the artifact caters to that. And it gives you good perks that actually gives you incentives to actually be able to do that. Like the Void Grenade that actually, like, weakens, I guess, like, weakens enemies, stops them from shooting you, and puts a debuff on them so you do more damage. Like, that's pretty cool. The arc abilities that you can have on it, awesome. Like, getting kills with, anti-barrier weapons, like, that increase your grenade and melee abilities, like, fantastic. I like that. I like the artifact. I'm very excited for the seasons to come because they're all going to change, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. Next up, Armor 2.0. How do I feel about it? I'm sad that we have to earn the mods back, but I am excited that there's going to be some pretty cool builds. I actually have some Armor 1.0 armor still that just have some very cool perks, mostly for Crucible, but still. Like, Armor 2.0, I really like it. It makes all of the old armor viable. Like, you can go onto the Leviathan and go through the Leviathan raids again, get all that armor back, and now it is viable again. Like, that's what I like about it. Like, I've been seeing people rock the old Leviathan gear with the new mods on it. I definitely like that stuff. Going over the state of Crucible. Obviously, Crucible has changed. You have Classic Mix. You can go through Control. You have, like, Crucible Labs is back again with 3v3 elimination. You can do Scorched, which was last week's thing. Like, I do like how there's more playlists versus just competitive and quick play. Competitive now is just survival, and, you know, that's totally fine. And there's a freelance one too, which is totally fine as well. In general, I am liking Crucible. I am liking Classic Mix more in general. That's just me. And I'm excited to get some reviews out to you guys. Definitely have some good sniper clips right now with the Tranquility, which is the Moon Sniper, which is what I like. Going over the Season Pass. I do like the Season Pass. I guess it's kind of cool that you're able to, you know, earn things that are slightly exclusive, especially if you own the Season Pass, and you're actually working towards something like an emo or something exotic as well, which, you know, I mean, that's pretty cool versus, you know, just going to Eververse every time you get, you know, a bright engram. Like last time you can get random stuff. Like, that's great and all, but, like, Season Pass, I like it, dude. You know, I really wasn't a fan at first, especially with stuff like Fortnite, but, you know, I think the season pass is really good, especially in Destiny. I believe this worked. This was, you know, this was a risk they took, and it played out for them very, very well. I enjoy it, especially the new ornaments that are coming that I'm getting right now. So cool. Like, keep doing that. That is what I like. We're now at the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, but there are 3 things I want to go over. First up, my clan, the D1 Fire Team, is looking for active players in the Destiny community. Our members play all sorts of activities from casual PvE and PvP to the endgame content. If you're actively playing Destiny 2 and want the benefits of a bigger clan, the link to join is below. It'll say clan link. All you have to do is request to join, and myself or one of the admins will approve you. If you're with a smaller clan and want the benefits of a bigger clan, and you have, like, let's say, like 7 to 10 members, I'm just using that as an example, but if you want to come over, just send me a message on any of my social media links and we'll try to get something set up. Number 2, if you want to know how to support me, there's a link below that says best way to support me. That'll take you to a 4-minute video. If you want to go check that out, that would be awesome. But if you don't want to do that, you can always like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and all that good jazz if you want to do any of those things. Lastly, we have a link to the community Discord below. Just a heads up, we're looking for anyone with moderator experience to potentially run the Discord. I know for myself, I'm more of a player instead of a manager, so if you have some moderator experience, just send me a message and we'll try to get something set up. I know for myself, I'm on Xbox, but if you guys would like to talk or chat with me, Discord is going to be the best way to do those things. Alright guys, hope you enjoy this video. We'll catch you next time.